hey, this is Robin here at Hope FM. We love to introduce you to people doing great things. And Evalyn and Lucas da Fonseca are doing wonderful things as missionaries. They happen to be here in our community just for a brief respite to have a baby and to take a little bit of a break. But they are serving as missionaries in Mexico. And I'm so glad that you came in to let us know about what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's an amazing opportunity.
So how long have you been serving as missionaries?
Well, I've been serving officially for a little over 10 years now.
I've been in the missions field for 5 years.
And what drew you there?
Well, I'm a missionary kid, so like I kind of continued on what I grew up on and what my parents have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was about, let's say, 16, 17, I really understood that the calling wasn't just for them, it was for me. So I've been on since then until now, but I did kind of like my missionary school when I was 20. So now just over 10 years officially.
And noticing your accent, tell us where you're from.
Oh yeah, I'm from Brazil originally, and because I'm a missionary kid, I bounced around a lot, and also ended up kind of adopting Spain as a nationality too, because I lived there for around a little over 6 years.
And so now you've been serving as missionaries in Mexico. Any particular part, or have you been to several places there?
We've been serving for the past 5 years in Mazatlan, Mexico. It's on the West Coast. We got connected there. Lucas was there before me for about 2 years before me. I started off, I'm a little more local than him. So I'm from South Florida, and I started off doing missions trips just in high school with my church. And so every year we just did a summer missions trip. And the first one that I ever went on was when I was 14 years old, and it was to Mazatlan. I did a couple more after that to different places, but God just always spoke about Mazatlan one day becoming my home. And so that experience in church missions really got me connected and really got me understanding the heart of missions. And so I went to do a training school after I graduated high school. And that's where I met him, and God really spoke about continuing missions into life. And now we're married, we have a baby, and we're still in missions.
Well, and a lot of times when you serve as a missionary, it's not just you're going to preach the gospel, you're going to serve and do things. So what's your typical life like there?
Yeah.
So actually, we were serving in Mazatlan, and right when we got the news that we were gonna have the baby, God also spoke about moving from Mazatlan to another city in Mexico, and the city's name is Guadalajara. So we kind of just we ended our commitment with Mazatlan. We went to Guadalajara, packed like 5 bags, dropped we stayed there for a little over a month. We dropped them off, and we flew here to have the baby. But in our day to day, it really depends on what's the need, because we receive teams. So if there are teams and they need translators, they need people to go with them. So we go out and we do all the ministries that they are doing with them. Like, we're facilitating, we're literally helping them get around, this Uber or the bus, or just directing them. We're translating. So it would look that we're sticking to the team in their day-to-day evangelism, going to churches, serving in mercy ministry, so giving food to the poor, or talking to the homeless, prison ministry. And for all of that, there's also, I don't love it, but there is some prep work. So there's office work, so sure, answering emails, calling people, confirming with pastors, so then we can go as a base.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, the missions trips that I did in high school, that's what we're passionate about, helping also host more teams like that so that other young people can get plugged into missions. And another thing that we really focus on is what I also mentioned, the school that I did right after high school. Mm-hmm. So that's a 6-month school where the first 3 months are classes where we teach you about God, about missions, your relationship with God and others, go deep in your faith. And then for 3 months after that, we take you overseas on a missions trip where it's just full-time ministry every day for 3 months. And so Lucas and I lead and host those schools, also getting young people plugged into the missions field.
Wow. So, do you have any stories of things that you've seen God do? Like something you would just say, this is a miracle, or this is something we prayed for, or something that is just an extraordinary story and an example of what God does when you're serving Him?
Yeah. We've
Too many. We have too
yeah.
many.
I don't think we have all the time in the world now, but yeah, we've seen a lot God do. Like whenever it's always interesting when you step into God's will and God's calling, even though it might be scary, He always shows up. So we've been stepping into like, oh my gosh, what's gonna be on the other side, and He really has shown up. So in one of the schools that we lead, we took a team to Nepal, and in Nepal we did like many different ministries. But one really cool thing it was the opportunity to go to villages in the mountains of Nepal, in the Himalayas, where they have literally never heard the gospel, and it was not a fun or easy ride to get there. So it would be like from the capital of Kathmandu, we take a car like a Jeep 4x4, but a very very old one, 16 hours up and down mountains,
Wow.
like super bouncy, like you cannot sleep, you cannot rest. To then maybe sleep one night at like somebody's house or a church, and then actually start doing the trek. And the Nepalese are like, no, yeah, it's easy, 6 hours, no problem. And took us like 12 hours, 16 hours to do the walk because they're so much faster. And we're like, okay, now we are at a place where nobody has heard the gospel ever. And being able to go with translation and with people that work in the area, to go and share the gospel with people, like even in the track from one place to another, every person that we saw crossing, we stopped and preached the gospel to. But it was also great because we got to rest a little bit, and we've seen a little over 30 people in like the 2 weeks that we were up there accept Christ, from like a completely uh unreached place to a fully reached church planted in those areas. And the amazing thing is that the contacts that took us there, they got everybody's contact. So it's not like they accepted Jesus and we just left them there. But there's a church that started, a community that started. May not look like what we think a church is, but it started, and it's growing every day. And that was like, I think, one of the craziest things to happen. But like in that 2 weeks, that so many people accepted Jesus, and they literally never heard the name of Jesus in their lives before.
That's amazing. Well, oftentimes we feel like, well, I'm not going to get on a plane and go to Nepal or to Mexico and preach the gospel. Serving in missions has a lot more to do with sharing the gospel and equipping others to do that as well, or serving right here at home. So for someone that's joining us today that's maybe wondering, how could I help out with that without getting on a plane? Or what can I do to serve God and maybe be a missionary right here in my own community? What would you say about that?
Oh, me again? Oh, yeah, that's a huge thing that we are praying for and interceding for, even right now, in our personal time. That missions isn't just, oh, now that I have a calling, I'm gonna sell everything, fly to Nepal, and that's my life now. But there are still people here in your community, within your circle of influence, that don't know God. And you can still be a change in their life without like leaving your area, your life. And we as Christians, we have to live a missionary life as a Christian, because God's calling for our life is not just for some to go, but every time we accept Jesus, every time somebody accepts Jesus, now they actually have a call in their lives to live that out and preach the gospel to people. The when Jesus said, "Now go and preach the gospel to everyone," and that goal it wasn't like, oh, if you have the time. It was an order from God. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't have the calling to go to Nepal, but you still have the calling to come here, because there are many people in this community, in your circle of influence, that don't know Christ yet.
Yeah, that's something that I've actually learned a lot from Lucas. That, there's people, maybe, like, for example, my dad's in the military. He can talk to those military dudes in a way that Lucas can't, that I can't.
True story.
That he can get into and speak their language, like maybe Lucas and I can speak Spanish and we can speak to Mexicans overseas. But even in the medical field, there you speak a different language. Even in the dance field, you speak a different language. And so everybody carries something in the area that God has called them to be a light and to show others the love of Christ.
Well, I'm so glad that you were here locally, not only to celebrate your first child coming into the world and spend some time with family, but so that we could get to know you before you head back out to your next missions assignment. So if folks want to learn more about you and maybe connect or invite you to speak to their church, or maybe they want to follow you online or even give towards your efforts, how do we get in touch with you?
Yeah. So something else that Lucas says, what is it? That there's 3 ways that you can serve.
Oh yeah, I grew up on like as a missionary. I grew up on this, like hearing from my parents and everybody around me that you as a missionary, sorry, as a Christian, you can give towards missions in 3 ways. You can give with your feet by going. You can give with your prayers by interceding for the needs and what's happening in the nations.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also give with your pockets by actually financially supporting missionaries. So we are very much open if anybody is interested to hear more. If God has a call in your life and you don't know how to step into it, you can definitely contact us, and we will love to walk with you and help you. If you feel like that you understand the burden of missions and you would like to start praying more for the nation, what God's doing in the nations, you can also contact us. We can give you steps on how you can help with that. Or if you feel that you want to support us financially, like missionaries, trust me, missionaries have a lot of expenses, a lot of budgets that we have that you wouldn't even think. For example, we need to have an emergency flight budget because we live in an area that is not that things could happen and we have to leave immediately. So if God's speaking to you to support us financially, contact us too, and we can plug you into different things that are happening right here, right now, in this community.
Yeah. So we have a phone number, 321-872-7054. You can text us there, and we would love to get in contact with you. And then also we have a Instagram page. It's called Evalyn and Lucas in Missions. And that's where you can follow and see what kind of stuff we're doing in ministry, get involved with us, and also send us a message if any of those things that Lucas mentioned stick out to you. We'd love to hear from you.
Well, it's great to meet you both. Thank you so much for coming in, and we'll make sure you have the link there wherever you're watching this video.